Welcome to RM Tuner. This is the tuning software for the RM Primis Standalone ECU. Recently we started implementing control for the ZF8 HP transmissions, and on this quick video we would like to show you some of the things we have done and will be available on the first release, and some of the things prepared for further releases. We will enter the settings menu and select the CAN bus submenu. We select the 8 HP protocol, already selected on this bench test TCU. Just below it we can select to automatically delete DDC codes on power on, and then we go straight to the 8 HP tab on the top. The RM Primis can also add termination resistor to the bus. As we enter the 8 HP tab, we can see the transmission mode where we can select between Eco, Sport, Comfort, Sport Plus. We can use the TCU data and enter some parameters to calculate the vehicle speed. If you know your wheel circumference, enter it on the box or use the option below to automatically calculate it according to the size of your tires. We also have a sliding bar that allows for fine-tune of the vehicle speed. The read button will read the TCU data along with the status. If your ECU reports locked, we will have to unlock it to allow control with the RM Primis. Below it we have the read differential ratio. We can reset the transmission learned ratio, and we can also simply click on the incorporate button to use this ratio on the vehicle speed calculations. Everything is done automatically. On the right hand side we have the adaptations. The read button allows us to read and monitor the transmission adaptations, and the reset allows us to reset them. The adaptations are very important on this transmissions. We also incorporated a diagnostic section where we can read and delete DDC codes. Some have descriptions, some don't. We will keep updating the descriptions along the way. Let's unlock this TCU. Click Unlock, read the warning and click Yes if you are ready to proceed. This process takes a little bit to start and complete. The green bar on the bottom will give you an idea of the progress. If this process fails, most times we are able to recover the TCU. We will show you how this is done during this video. Please be patient and wait for the final message informing you of conclusion. Please remember, the RM Primis is a standalone ECU that can also control some transmissions. It's not a standalone transmission controller. Here you have everything you need to control your engine and transmission, all in one product. Everything we do is developed and tested in-house. This implementation is no different, and we count with everyone's help to keep pushing forward.
"2,000 years later."
Now we got positive report of unlock. As you can see, we now have a green unlock status. Let's have a look of how the ECU manages torque. We have a simple torque model that is used. Click on tuning and then on the torque tab. On the first tab we have the torque reduction table where you can adjust the amount of ignition advance reduction according to RPM. The torque reduction can be done in several different ways to effectively manage torque depending on your type of setup and engine power. Depending what you select, more hidden options will show. We have only retard selected on this example. You can also configure everything related to throttle blip or rev match. Now the torque table, you have a very big torque table that allows you to replicate exactly what the original ECU does with this transmissions. The torque output sent to the transmission is subject to corrections based on any trims done by the ECU algorithm. This way we try to keep everything as realistic as possible. This is one of the advantages of using one single product for both engine and transmission. Now let's see a recovery process. Your TCU is not reporting the right data after you tried to recover it the first time, or your USB cable got disconnected or a power outage. We have saved your original TCU version along with your coding, and we will use this to download the original software from our servers and reinstall it on the TCU. As you can see, SWFL 1 and 2 are zeroed. Only the BTLD is being reported. If there is no backup because you never connected your TCU to RM Tuner working right, we can still recover this manually for you, but a remote assistance session will be required. We will show you next a few things we can do, but that are not yet available to the public. Neither will be on the first release. We want to have more users and more feedback before we start releasing a lot of stuff. To avoid having too much customer support with this, remember the 8 HP control is a functionality of RM Primis, and it's free of cost for any RM Primis owner.
Later.
Engine management is our main focus. Transmission control is a free add-on. Now the recovery process is done, let's power cycle the TCU and ECU as requested on the pop-up and let's have a look of what's reported. If we click on the read button, we now have all the TCU data again and a green unlocked status. Woohoo, another one brought back to life. Let's have a look now at some of the things that are already implemented and can be used for manual recover of bricked TCUs and/or for experimental things. This little window allows us to connect to the TCU and read its data, just like before. We then have a button to read the coding and one to write the coding. It allows us to select a coding file previously saved on the computer. Then we have the unlock button just like before, followed by read maps, to read and save the TCU maps for tuning and also write maps. Write SWFL allows us to manually write the TCU firmware manually file by file. Write custom SWFL allows us to write custom firmware and maps to the TCU. These files have to be prepared in advance by us. Some of these options might seem really cool but are also very dangerous on the hands of more inexperienced users and might break stuff, so for now we will not make them public, although we might consider one or other to use it.